ask the audience if they can hear us good.
We're wearing the same hat, bro.
I know.
I feel like you're trying to take my look. You know what I mean? Like I had this and then this.
It's a good look.
Well, we can open up to the platform to see who pulls it off better. But, oh, hey, don't forget to record like you said that you were going to do.
Yep. Paul's okay. Says it's recording. Everything should be good. If the recording doesn't work, then me and you have to come back on here and do it all over again.
Yeah, I never do this same type of training the same, so it'll be a little bit different, even though I do this 100 times a day. But
after this, you can take this and just give it to all your agents.
Oh, I'm hoping this helps me automate my training.
All right, Adam says he can hear both of us. Kenny says he can hear us.
Good.
Nick says yes, all clear. So we got a little bit. I'm going to give it a couple of minutes because we're at 21. There were a lot of people that told me that they weren't going to make it at this time because they thought it was Central, or they thought it was they thought that when I said 6, I was talking about Central. But so we got 22 on here now. Eric's on there. David Haas.
What's up, Haas?
With no incognito name. I thought he would hide. I'm thinking Jagger is Samsung SMG955U.
Oh, we got tons of people at call centers in incognito right now.
We got a 14342101999.
Secret agent style.
Eric's on there. Brandy Young's on there. Chuck Revels, Darren Chang, Eric Fierro, Jacob, James Seitz. There's Jagger. No, he is on there in his real name. Can't believe it. All right, man. Matthew Schaefer. We're up at 24. Let's just give it a second to see if anybody else pops on.
I'll have to share some of these texts from Haas that he sent to me after we get off of a live video.
All right. Yeah, one other person actually just registered, so I'm going to wait just a second.
We'll give it 2 minutes and then, or whenever, and then we'll get going. And I hope that everybody finds this stuff to be valuable.
Yeah. And if they're not on here, we're recording it. So,
yeah.
Hey, I was actually the other person that just registered, but I had to register twice because I didn't have the Zoom email.
Okay. Sweet.
So make sure you throw them back any.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that.
Thanks, guys.
No problem. And we're definitely going to do some question and answers at the end because, I'll wait till we actually start because I'll end up having to repeat what I'm going to say. So we'll just give it to like 6:05, another minute or so, or Brock can tell me when to go or start.
I will. I'm good at bossing people around. Let's see, 5:01. Yep, I'm gonna.
Jagger said, "Stop waiting for people. Let's go."
Okay. Yeah, he's very busy.
Oh yeah, dude. You went to his office. You have to have you have to see a girl to get in now. It's like,
I know. She told last time. She tells me, Mr. Etch is really busy right now, but David Haas isn't doing anything. Do you want to see him?
Hey, at least Haas was there when you went. I went, and Jagger was busy, and Haas wasn't there. So,
All right. Listen, we won't wait on anybody else. So there may be a couple more people join, but we're going to start. So I'll kick it off, guys. We are very fortunate to have the Medicare Bob with us today. A lot of people know him from YouTube and Facebook ads. If you have a lot of fake old lady profiles like me, you see him pop up in your feed all the time with millions of views on Facebook. As I was saying in the some of the stuff I was throwing up, he's got almost 100,000 followers on Facebook, and they're primarily 99% like actual Medicare beneficiaries. It's not a bunch of like fake crap. It's just been built from years now of advertising and helping senior citizens, and they've built up very quickly to I used to would have called it lean and mean, but you got 35 staff members in the office now, and they're helping people around the clock. And there's a lot of stuff that we can learn from Medicare Bob. But what we're going to talk about today is the actual phone sale. because, and he can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think that, you know, he worked at a call center before he went out on his own. And the biggest thing that he learned was how to sell on the phone. Once he knew that, all he had to do was figure out how to get the leads, and he could create his own system. And that's what he's done very successfully. Not to take away from the fact that it was very expensive along the way, and there's a lot of moving parts that go into growing. You have to continuously reinvest your money instead of blowing it, you know, like a lot of people do. We continue to reinvest in growth and growth and growth. And it's going really well. But today he's going to kind of pour into us the sales process over the phone. A lot of this can be used as well, you know, in person, or just like I was telling him earlier, for a lot of you brokers that are out, you know, in the field, when you get these leads, and one person I'll kind of note is Matt Mollier today was telling me, you know, as soon as I started talking to him about phone sales and he knew he was going to come on this, just knowing he was going to come on, he's already gotten the courage to try to close some of the leads and phone calls he was getting over the phone. Whereas used to, they would have called him ready to buy, and his default mode was, okay, I got to set up an appointment and go to their house. And a lot of these people you don't at all. And Medicare Bob would say almost none of them you do. So we're going to get into letting him talk about it. And I'm going to try to help guide the conversation and kind of read on the comments. Anybody that wants to can go in the comments and write something. David Haas will never get his money back. And we'll come back at the end and try to answer some of these questions. If the video is a little jumpy, it's not really that big of a deal because a lot of this is audio based, and hopefully the recording that we send out to everybody will be fluid, because it should be recording it in real time and not just the laggy feed. But the audio is where the real action's at anyway. So listen up. If you have questions, drop them in the messenger thing down here. Make sure you're sending it to, you can send it to me or Medicare Bob, or you can send it to everybody, probably just everyone. So
yeah, I don't really see where the message are, so I'll let you kind of mediate the comments.
Okay.
Now my screen shows 0000, so I just want to make sure you are recording. You double check that, or are you good?
Yeah, it's mine says that too, but it says it's recording.
All right, cool. All right, so thanks, Brock. I really appreciate what you're doing on the Medicare Guru group. I think it's a really good group. There's a lot of people that want to continue getting better, and I think you do a good job of assisting them do that. Now, like my background, here's what a lot of people, I lost you, Brock, your video went away.
I just turned it off to see if it would, I turned it off to see if it would, here's one. I turned my video off to see if it would speed up the lag of your video.
Oh, okay, got it. All right, so one of the things about me that's a little bit unique about a lot of people that train people is I actually have sold Medicare supplements over the phone, and I still do. And like Brock said earlier, I worked at a really large call center that still's around, and they sell Medicare supplement plans over the phone. And I was their national top producer for 3 straight years. So I sold over 1,000 Medicare supplement plans per year for 3 straight years. And then 2012, I decided to try opening up my agency. And it has, like Brock said, been a learning curve as far as reinvesting in the business and growing the business, but it's been going really well. And when I hire agents, I actually prefer agents that have never sold insurance before, because they really stick to a structure that I help them with. Now, I'm not a script person. I'm more of a concept and call flow, call structure person. And so some of the stuff everything we talk about today is the same type of one-on-ones that I'll have with my agents. And we are a top producing agency in the country. We write a lot of policies per month per agent, over 30. We have some agents that write 75 to 80. We'll have a couple agents in October write over 100. So it's the stuff I'm going to give you is not like buy a sales course and I'm going to teach you how to be a millionaire type of stuff. This is real stuff that my agents and I face every day, and stuff that I have used that works. So, the name of this course was, how to overcome objections and with rebuttals. And so to start with, I'm going to kind of like my call flow or structure is I always start with the intro, then we do fact finding, then we do our presentation, and then we get to the application. And so I'll first start with the intro, because if you follow that structure, you can avoid a lot of objections before the client ever even has them. I'm a big fan of having a lot of small hurdles to overcome instead of having, ta-da, do you want to sign up today? Like I've never asked that question in my life on the phones. So let's start with the intro. So something very simple. So if you're selling over the phone, you really only have about a minute or so for that person for you to gain credibility and if they're going to work with you. And if you buy really, really good leads all the time, maybe you can have a bad intro and have some success. But we generate all of our own leads now. We don't purchase any leads. And we still find that if an agent's using a bad intro, their contact rate to conversation is lower than the agent that uses the intro that I'm going to help you with. So the first, I guess, objection is, how do you keep somebody on the phone? How do you get more opportunities to sell somebody? Well, for us, we do our intro, but we always end with, what is your current coverage right now? Now, I know that sounds very simple, but we have agents that will do their intro and they'll end with, how are you doing today? Did you go online? What were you looking for when you were looking for Medicare help? And Brock, when they do that, it gives that client the opportunity to say, no, I didn't mean to go online, or no, I'm good. I already found the help that I need. Like a bad intro, like, can I help? How can I help you today? That's some people think that that's a good intro, and it's really not. It gives the person an opportunity to get off the phone. I'm very big fan of controlling the call. And so all of our agents have had a lot of success with getting more at-bats by ending with, what is your current coverage right now? So, we're Senior Healthcare Direct. So we'll introduce ourselves. Hi, this is Robert with Senior Healthcare Direct. You were on our website looking at your Medicare coverage options to see if I can help you. What is your current coverage? And I guarantee you, I know it sounds very simple, but I guarantee that by you doing that, you will have more opportunities by keeping that person on the phone. And the reason I also like that question is, if you really think about it, when you're helping someone on Medicare, most people, it's going to be one of two paths you're going to go down, okay? How they answer that question. You're either going to do some type of variation of your educational presentation, or you're going to do your Medigap to Medigap presentation. So if they say, hey, I have a Medicare supplement plan F, okay, I know in my head, I'm going down this road. If they say they have group insurance, okay, I'm going to go down this road, the education road. If they say they have a Medicare Advantage plan, annual enrollment is here, and we're going to help a lot of people that might have an Advantage plan. And, remember, most people you talk to during, especially this annual enrollment and in general, if they already have a plan, most of them did not make an educated decision. Wouldn't you agree? About how many times have you talked to somebody that has a Medicare Advantage plan and they call it a supplement?
Almost everyone that I've come across on a Medicare Advantage plan thought they had a supplement, or they didn't know the difference. So yeah, most Medicare Advantage agents dealing with the T65 leads, I don't know what the statistics are on this, and maybe you do, but I'd say a huge percentage of them are closed by like Liberty National or Bankers Life agents that go out and enroll them in the Medicare Advantage plan with one carrier. They only have one carrier. They enroll them in the Medicare Advantage plan in order to cross-sell them some sort of life or annuity. And I get why they do that from a broker standpoint, but they've also been coached to believe that that plan is the best plan, even though they don't understand any of their other options.
Well, let's even take it away from the agent, okay? Let's look at the TV commercials we're all seeing right now on CNBC 24 hours a day. So, they see a Humana commercial and it's advertised as an all-in-one plan. They see AARP and it's advertising, we've got dental, we got vision, we have this. So they're going to call United Healthcare based on that commercial. And that agent at United Healthcare doesn't thoroughly explain the difference between, here's Medicare, here's Advantage, here's supplement. They're going to talk about why they should enroll in that plan, how it's all in one, which, for the record, my agency offers both. We offer Medicare Advantage and Medicare supplement. So the point of this, bringing it back in, is understand that when you're talking to somebody and you ask them what their current plan is, the odds are they did not choose that plan. They were sold that plan. And so the reason I'm sharing that with you is if they say they have a Medicare Advantage plan, then I move that to my education presentation bucket. Now it's going to be a abbreviated version of that where I say, hey, has anyone ever gone over with you the difference between a Medicare Advantage plan and a true Medicare supplement? Okay. And I go into explaining the difference as a T-chart, Advantage on the left, Medigap on the right, and I help them understand the differences. So the point is when I do my intro and ask that question, I want to be able to know exactly, am I going to do an educational pitch or a hybrid of that, or am I going to do my Medigap to Medigap pitch? And then once you do your pitch, then you can kind of, if you master your pitch, you can overcome a lot of objections before they even happen. So for this webinar, what I talked to Brock about is I really wanted to go over what a good Medicare supplement to Medicare supplement presentation is, or at least what we've had a lot of success with, and what the biggest mistake is. So, we titled this Objections and Overcome, and I've got some that we'll go over, but if you do my Medigap to Medigap presentation or a variation of it, then you'll avoid a lot of the headaches a lot of agents get towards the end of the call. All right. So my agents and I do 5 things on every Medigap call. All right. Sorry, I got new agents getting sales. Great. All right. So first of all, let's talk about the biggest mistake most agents make over the phone when you do your fact find and they tell you they have a Medicare supplement. So, I call that my Medigap to Medigap pitch. Well, the biggest mistake agents make is they rush the quote. It's like going to the bar and you find a girl and, you go and you ask her, hey, do you want to go hang out? Well, that same girl is going to slap you in the face probably and tell you no. But if you lay in some groundwork, buy her a drink, make her laugh, make fun of Brock in front of her, okay? You're laying in the groundwork, now you got her laughing, maybe you dance with her, whatever your game is. By you putting the work, 2 hours later, you ask that same question, she's going home with you. Well, people do that with Medicare supplement quotes. I mean, Brock, how many times do you talk to someone and they say they have an AARP Plan F or a Blue Cross Blue Shield Plan F, and in your gut, you're getting excited because you know that you're about to save them a lot of money?
It's definitely happens, and making fun of me always helps. but
Sure.
Yeah, but for real, you get excited based on this is somebody I can easily help. So I don't know, maybe you go to the same thing in the bar thing. I heard Frank Kern, teaches Facebook advertising stuff or runs ads. And he made a similar analogy about the bar girl. And the whole time he was apologizing for using the analogy, but it's a great analogy because, when you're, doing that, I mean, same thing like in the damn Wolf of Wall Street post, which I said this wasn't going to be Wolf of Wall Street, but from a contextual standpoint, it does stand true, that closing sales over the phone is probably very similar in nature to, trying to get someone to be interested in you enough to give you a chance to take them home or
we'll call it hanging out to be politically correct.
Go steady with them.
Yeah. So my point is a lot of agents, they get really excited when they ask them, hey, how much are you paying? They're paying $250 for a Plan F. And let's say they're 68 years old. So they go right to the quoting tool and they know that they have a Plan G or a Plan F that's going to save that person a lot of money. So they quote that person. And then now they're working backwards because now they have to ask that person to sign up. So I'm going to help you avoid that altogether. Okay. And this is not a guess. If you have a pen and paper, I would write this down. Okay. Because these 5 things, this will work. It works. We do it every day, all day. Thousands of people successfully. It definitely works. So the first thing I do on a Medigap to Medigap is I'm going to compliment their decision and I'm going to highlight the benefits of their plan. So what this does is it's going to help me build some credibility that I know what they have. And the reason I want to do that is I'm going to ask them to change what they have here in about 15 minutes or less. So I want them to have a comfort level that I fully understand what they have, because otherwise they're not going to trust that I'm making a good recommendation for them. So here's some examples of how I'll do that. So, hey, Mrs. Smith, I ask her what her current coverage is. She says, I have a Blue Cross Blue Shield Medicare Supplement Plan F. Wow, great. That's a really good choice. You made a really wise decision choosing Medicare Supplement Plan. I really like that with a supplement plan that you can keep any doctor, any hospital. Don't you like that? Yeah, it's great. You also never have to get a referral, never have to get prior authorization. We offer Medicare supplement plans, and I really like that, you chose that plan because for the flexibility that you can go anywhere you want to go. I also like that, and I'm sure you do with the Medicare supplement plan, that you never really have a bill. As long as you pay your monthly premium, the Medicare supplement's going to pay the hospital bills and going to pay the 20% that Medicare doesn't pay. So that's a good example of of complimenting / highlighting. And if you don't do this over the phone, what you don't know is what some agents might do is they ask a question, which I hate, which is, what do you like about your Medicare supplement? And Brock, I don't like that question because I only like to ask questions that I know the answer to. And here's what we know. We know what they like about their supplement, don't we?
Yes.
We know they like flexibility, that they can go where they want to go. We know they like the predictability that it's going to actually pay their bills.
Right.
So yeah. I don't need them because most people don't understand what they have. So I don't want them to have to articulate what they have.
Yeah.
So I'm going to highlight that instead.
The same thing. I love, they already know they like the supplement. They just don't like how much they have to pay for it. So you already know that.
So let's go to step 2, right? So step 1 is compliment, highlight. Again, I'm not a script guy. Do that whatever is natural to you, do that. Step 2 is very important. And that is establishing that the letter of the plan determines the coverage, not the carrier. You have to do this on step 2. So kind of going back into my pretend call here. Yeah, so with your plan, I like that you can go to any doctor, any hospital, you never have a bill. You made a really good choice with that Medicare Supplement Blue Cross Blue Shield Plan F. I love Blue Cross Blue Shield, but I know they've had some rate increases the past couple of years. But did you know that Medicare makes it easy for you to shop and compare? Yeah. Did you know that's right in your Medicare and You book that you get every year? That Medicare says the letter of the plan determines the coverage, not the carrier. So what you really like is your Medicare supplement plans. So you could have that same exact supplement that you have with Blue Cross Blue Shield with Mutual of Omaha or Cigna or Aetna, and your doctor is going to take it the same, and it's going to pay your bills exactly the same. So, it's exact. The letter of the plan determines the coverage, not the carrier. So Blue Cross Blue Shield's a great company, but there's over 30 other great companies that have that same exact plan, and they're federally regulated. Your doctor takes it the same, and it's going to pay your bills exactly the same. So does that make sense there, Brock? Step 2 is I'm going to establish the plans are the same.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
All right.
You have to. That's when a lot of people use that whole Medicare and You handbook reference. And you don't have to do any of that really, but we even sometimes will say, on page whatever the hell it is in your Medicare and You handbook, it actually says that that different insurance companies can sell the same exact plan for different prices. So
exactly.
So you're like putting it back on Medicare and be like, it's actually. And most people never have that handbook handy, but just by saying it, sometimes it's like, oh, he's telling me it's in my handbook that Medicare sends me. So that's
credibility. Yeah, and I love the. Well, it's my pitch, so I'm going to say I love it, but it works. I love saying, did you know that Medicare makes it easy for you to shop and compare? Like, basically, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing right now. Like, this system is designed for you to pick the plan you want and then get the best price. And another thing you can say in step 2 there is, yeah, it's just like car insurance or homeowners insurance. Every couple of years you want to shop because you can get the same coverage for less money. Again, making it relatable to something that they probably have shopped in their life before. Because a lot of times, they make a choice at 65 and you're talking to them at 68 or 71, and they may have never shopped a Medicare supplement before other than the first time when they bought it. So by you making a reference to something that they have shopped before, like car insurance or homeowners insurance, or even a cell phone bill. Hey, the baby boomers now have done that. You can say, yeah, it's just like AT&T and Verizon. It's the same exact coverage, and the only difference is price. Like whatever comes natural to you. The point there is in step 2, you definitely want to establish that the letter of the plan determines the coverage, not the carrier. Now, step 3. I close them. Now notice, I haven't quoted them yet, okay? I complimented their decision / highlighted what they like about their plan. I established all the plans are the same. Here's how I close them. Okay, so Mrs. Smith, now that you know I know that you love your current Blue Cross Blue Shield Plan F, and that's a great plan. And now that you know Medicare makes this easy for you to shop and compare. So the letter of the plan determines the coverage, and there's lots of really good companies that offer that same type of plan. If I could get you that same coverage that you have now, and your doctor accepts it exactly the same, and it pays all your bills exactly the same, and the only difference is you go from one great company, Blue Cross, to another great company, and I could save you money for the same exact coverage you have now, would that accomplish what you want to do today? What do you think they say, Brock?
I would think that they would say, well, yeah, because it's such a soft close. They haven't felt like they have to buy anything yet, but they've already agreed to it. So,
right. Which if you're in sales, you know what a tieback is. So later on, I can tie back to, if I do have a hurdle, an objection, I can tie back to, well, but Mrs. Smith, you and I talked about it earlier, and we know that you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do by shopping. You know the plans are the same. You're not changing plans. You're going from one great company to another. So you can tie back to the fact that earlier they told you they would do it, right?
Right.
So that step 3 is close.
Jagger said that they say, no, I won't do that. I'm going to call Jagger and David's office. I'm not going to give them the luxury of plugging them. They were already plugged this week in the group.
All right. So I will challenge any agent to a 5-day sell-off. And including Jagger and them who are across the street. I'll even give me a cubicle. I'll go over there and I'll even dial his leads and close them better than him. All right?
He'll probably let you.
Probably. It would be a win-win for him, right? I'm the loser in that scenario.
He said,
all right, so yeah. He really did say that, right? We're not just calling him out? Okay.
No, he said it.
Okay. All right. So for those of you guys that don't know, Jagger and Haas own Medicare FAQ. They're great guys, and they're actually right across the street from my agency, so we give each other shit all the time. All right, so although look, they got the class, so they obviously want to hear it.
They got to know how to increase sales over there, so they had to pay attention to Medicare Bob.
No, it's good. They're good guys. So all right, so step where am I? So step 3 was close, okay? And I'll kind of say that again, just I know it's on video, but so basically you ask them, so Mrs. Smith, now that you know that Medicare makes this easy for you to shop and compare, and that there's over tons of really good companies that offer that same exact plan, and that your doctor takes it the same, and that it pays the same, if I could get you that same exact coverage that you have now for less money, would that accomplish what you wanted to do today? And I promise you they say yes. I've never had anyone say, no, I don't want to save money for the same plan, okay? So you get that commitment from them, which we talked about. I'm a big fan of small hurdles, small commitments, whatever sales jargon you want to use, get small yeses along the way, all that jazz on those sales books that I've never read. But, that's what we're doing here is getting those commitments. Now, step 4 is we're actually going to quote. I think most of you probably use CSG quoting tool. It's great. So, you go and you quote them. You show them the monthly savings, the annual savings, point out, hey, we're saving you money now, so you're going to save money every year, and highlight their, show their savings. And then step 5 is something that I'm surprised most agents don't know how to do, okay? So, Brock, let me ask you this, not to put you on the spot, okay? And I promise this wasn't rehearsed, all right?
All right.
All right, I hope that, you're the guru. No one's good. It's good. It's good. No matter what you say here, it's all good. All right, there's definitely more than one way to skin a cat. So you just quoted, so we quoted somebody. How do you get them to the application?
Okay.
Do you have like hey, would you like to sign up today? Or
No. So what I say is, honestly, it depends on the carrier because it depends on how their application starts. But I just start typing. I have all their basic information, so I've normally already pulled the application up and put in the majority of the basic stuff that I have from their just base information. And I'm like, okay, so what we're going to do is start at such and such date. And then I already, I hit 2 rebuttals. So the 2 biggest rebuttals I get from a Medigap to Medigap plan change is they're afraid that they're going to go for a period without coverage, and they're afraid that they're going to pay for 2 premiums in 1 month as they're changing. So the first thing I say is, okay, so like right now, October, I say, so we're going to get this approved for a November 1st effective date. And we're going to and I'm on the spot now, but I'll say we're gonna get this approved for a November 1st effective date. And so the first thing we're gonna do is make sure that they approve it for that date. And once we know that they have approved it, we're gonna get your old policy canceled the same date the new one starts. So there's never a lapse in your coverage, and you're not paying for 2 months you're not paying for 2 companies in 1 month.
Okay.
And that's just how I address those 2 biggest rebuttals I get right there on the front end.
Well,
and most of the time they're kind of like, oh, those were my next 2 questions, and I've already addressed them.
So, and that's fantastic. And step 5 is similar. So what I do is I do a takeaway. So after I quote them, show their savings, I do a takeaway, which is, okay, now, Mrs. Smith, before we get too excited, I got to ask you some health questions to see if you medically qualify for these savings. So while I pull up the application, I need you to grab your medications for me, because I'm going to need those for the application, and let's see if you're eligible. So that's how I get to the application, is I use the health questions as a takeaway.
Yeah, so something
which you kind of said by telling them, well, let's see if you're approved.
Yeah.
Okay, like it's similar there. But I think it's a huge buying sign. If I do that and they take the time, because in phone sales, we don't have body language.
Right.
Okay, we don't have any body language to read, right? So, but what we do have is a commitment of time from them.
Right.
So if the more I ask them to go get something and they come back and get it on the phone, wouldn't you agree that's a buying sign? So if I say, go grab your medications, they're going to now be committed to basically signing up.
Very rarely, once they've made that big of a commitment into the conversation, are they going to come back with any kind of negativity later on. So it's a great buying sign. And I do the same thing because, a lot of people ask me, and this gets into an underwriting lesson too, but one of my favorite things to do is get the prescriptions before ever asking a health question. I think anybody that asks a health question before seeing the prescriptions is skipping, like they're wasting so much time, because once you see those prescriptions, not that you don't have to now ask the health questions, but after you've done this for a while, you can look at those prescriptions and be like, okay, this person has diabetes and neuropathy. They're not going to get
approved. Right. Yeah, no, so we ask them to grab their meds for that reason as well. So but we want the commitment that they're going to do it. It also gives us time, although good agents, we all work on 2 screens nowadays, so they're pulling up the app while they're talking. But by using the point there is, even before underwriting, is to help agents, you guys like you that are trying to close. But notice I didn't ask, do you want to, like a lot of agents, will say, do you want to sign up today? Or do you want to save money today? Does that sound good to you? Would you like to sign up? So what I like to do, and it's similar to what you do, Brock, is I'm assuming the close the whole time. And so I use that. I like the health questions as a takeaway because, Brock, you have 2 kids just like I do, right? So I'm sure this has happened to you. They have a toy sitting in the living room all day Saturday, all day Sunday. Sunday at 4 o'clock, one of them wants that toy. Now what happens? They both want it.
Yeah.
Now it's a fight. Neither one of them wanted that thing all freaking weekend, but now that one of them wants it, here comes the other one, and now they're fighting over it.
Right.
That's a takeaway. And I think that we've had a lot of success, because now they almost are trying out for me. Like, all right, now before we get too excited, I need to ask you some health questions to see if you're eligible for this.
Yeah.
So now while I pull up the health questions, why don't you go ahead and go grab your medications? Now, when they come back, what our agents do is we'll ask them, how many medications do you take roughly? We kind of get the meds to look if they're going to be eligible. And also another presentation, which if we have time today, we can talk about, which I think hopefully agents that have common sense are doing. Praise baby Jesus, by the way, for helping out Medicare.gov today. But to your point, using Part D to earn the Medicare supplement business.
Yes. Oh, definitely. Even on the advertising side. I mean,
yeah. So let's wait before we go to that, because I'm all about that.
Yeah.
If you don't mind. So to summarize the 5 things, we're going to compliment and highlight the benefits of their plan. We're going to establish the plan, that the letter of the plan determines the coverage, not the carrier. The only difference is price. We're going to close them before we quote. I'm telling you, it's so important. The 4th thing is then we quote. And the 5th thing is we use the health questions as a takeaway to get to the application. That's my Medigap to Medigap presentation. And Brock, if you're okay with that, before we move to anything else, does anyone have any questions, or can we get like a high five or something if that was helpful? Or are you guys mad and you guys all want your money back so far? Jagger and Haas.
Anybody that has a question, if you can find the chat icon, I know some of you are on mobile, but if you can find the chat icon, please send. So David said, David sent me one privately. So if they don't qualify, are you going to at some point cover going to Advantage? So that we are going to cover a part of it. We are going to cover an Advantage portion. It's rare, and I don't know if I want to put Bob on the spot on this one because I haven't asked him.
No, go ahead. I'm here.
Do you ever?
We don't.
When my indicator normally we sell Advantage, but I'm not big on taking people off of supplements to go to Advantage. So I agree, and that's even though Advantage plans are getting stronger benefits, and you can get the hospital indemnity cancer riders with them, unless we might do literally. So we'll do hopefully about 2,400 policies as AEP, and we'll probably do 5 of those if I had to guess, and that's only if the customer is saying, listen, I'm dropping, I cannot afford, like let's say they have an old plan J. Yeah.
Or they have an F plan and they cannot afford it.
So you're saying you'll probably do 5 sup to MA.
Yeah, if that. I mean, and it definitely won't be because we're trying to sell it, because what we do if they're not eligible.
You'll do more MA to MA changes.
Mm-hmm. MA to MA, or a lot of MA to Medigap. I'm a big fan. So listen, and this is to everybody. I met with, a lot of big call centers that bring me in. Do not assume that just because somebody shows an Advantage plan, that they're an Advantage plan person.
Right.
They were sold that plan.
Right.
And again, we have a takeaway, an inherent takeaway. If you explain the difference, so for me, I would do a hybrid explanation of my education pitch. Did you know the difference between what you have, that's an HMO, that has copays, that has this and that, compared to what a true Medicare supplement plan is, where yes, you pay an additional premium, but in return, it actually pays your bills.
Right.
And then we have an inherent takeaway, which is, and did you know, which they don't know this, which is a crime, did you know that you have to medically qualify to upgrade from what you have right now to a Medicare supplement plan?
Yeah.
They never know that.
A lot of times people tell them that they have a trial right, but they never really understand that that's only their first 12 months, I never figure out that they have any quorums with their Medicare Advantage plan until they've been on it for 4 or 5 years.
I love that. So I will share this with you guys. We have about, I think, 17 or 18,000 active clients, and 15% out. And we have our educational pitch is, we do a T-chart, explain the difference, which maybe, on a different day we can go over that. But we have when we present them, we do a waste of money or cost of living approach to the Medicare supplement premium. So we ask them, to your point though, I think if you're selling an Advantage plan with pitching a trial right, then you're chicken closing, saying, we'll start with this, and then later on you can maybe try the supplement. Like, they don't understand that. Most people, and I know if you guys are selling by phones, you're going to talk to somebody who has an Advantage plan, and they're not going to be eligible to go to a supplement, and they're going to say to you, well, no one told me that. I promise you. And that's a fact. Now, answering David's question, we don't personally take people off Medigap to MA. But what I was going to say is 15% of our clients are MA, and we believe that, and I still believe, even though a lot of call centers, their Medigap businesses that offer both, their Medigap is going down and Advantage is taking market share. I definitely believe Advantage is going to continue to grow, but so should Medigap. Yeah. But I don't do that. I don't take them off that. I believe that if people really understand the difference and understand that, that they have to medically qualify to upgrade, that's a very strong takeaway for that person to go with an Advantage plan, or excuse me, a Medicare supplement.
Yeah, and so Medicare Advantage for us, right now is people who can't qualify for Medicare supplements, or they're completely priced out of getting one, they're already not on one. we're not taking a lot of people, like you said, from SUP to MA. I just got back from doing a training in Pittsburgh, and several of the people that are on the call today were at the Pittsburgh training. And I said the same thing. And a lot of them there are going to do a lot of MA enrollments. And a lot of that's because a lot of them are going out and talking to people that are in the really low income portion. Some of them are dual special needs. Some of them are just the regular, kind of low income, but don't qualify for Medicaid, but they're in that market. But I did heavily hit on Medigap because I think that the problem is that people get inside their client's head. They're getting in their head and they're thinking, okay, I'm going to budget based on what I think I could afford if I made what they make. And they're not really living within the idea of, okay, if this couple is drawing $1,900 a month living in rural Alabama and their house is paid for and their cars are paid for, that's a SUP client. In my mind, that's a SUP client, and I'm jumping the gun probably thinking that's what they should do, but I'm going to lead with SUP. But a lot of them are thinking, $1,900 a month. If I made $1,900 a month, I'd be a Medicare Advantage client, but they're not understanding the concept. So I
never asked somebody how much money they make.
What's that?
I've never asked a client how much money they make.
Yeah. That brings up another point.
I never say what's in your budget.
Right.
How much do you make? It's irrelevant.
Well, and it's also too that normally if you assume what's in their budget, like I teach the course on bundling where we talk about, I'm selling SUPs, dental, cancer, drug plan on most of my clients right now, or a large percentage of them. And when I do that, if I looked at every one of them and assumed there's just no way they're going to be able to afford all that, like I would miss out on so many sales because a lot of them can, because in their budget, healthcare is extremely important. So you have to completely not worry about that and pitch the gold first. In my opinion, you're telling them this is the best thing you could do. This is what I would do if my mother was able to pick out the best coverage in the world. This is what I'd want her to have. And then when I pitch that, if for some reason that's outside of their price, then we start peeling back. We're going down to plan N. We're doing phasing it back that way. And eventually you get down to MA, but I don't think leading MA on viable Medicare supplement prospects is the greatest thing to do.
Well, a couple things. One, so to be very clear, I am not anti-Advantage plan. I am not. I think, again, we sell Advantage plans. I think there is the clients that are on LIS or borderline low income subsidy. If they're on Medicaid and they're dual, 100%, get them that. But, we don't really lead with anything. Mm-hmm. What we do, and we can post this maybe. I don't know if you can see this. So this is our educational pitch right here.
Okay.
I'm not a script, but it's a call flow. So what we do is, if we explain Medicare A and B very simply, there's 2 prongs, A and B. A is for hospital, B is for medical and doctor. What's nice about Medicare is you can go to any doctor, any hospital in the country accepts Medicare, so you don't have to get any referrals or anything like that. Now the problem with Medicare is it doesn't pay everything. So for example, every time you go to the hospital, you got to pay the first $1,400 before Medicare pays anything. Now with Medicare Part B, that's for all your medical and doctor bills. Medicare has a very small annual deductible of $197, so you'll pay your first couple of doctor bills. And then after that, Medicare is going to step in and only pay 80%. And that means you have to pay the 20%. And that's the scariest part to Medicare, because there's no limit to that 20%. See, I think what we're getting to, Brock, is the objection, which is what this course is about, which is affordability. I can't afford it. Now, I have listened to thousands of calls and done this millions of times. You will come across people who truly cannot afford a Medicare supplement, and that's okay. But if I have right now 22 selling agents. So if I look at their dispositions and I can't afford it, and I have an agent that's doing that above average, what that really tells me, and tell me if you agree with this, is they're not building value in the supplement.
Yeah.
Because if you build value in it, you're going to hear that I can't afford it a lot less. And you build value by painting pictures and talking with the client, not at the client.
Right.
So I'll continue here. So we do that little explanation of A and B. And by the way, that's my A and B explanation, essentially, right there. Okay. Then we go into, hey, I know it feels like there's 100 different options out there. Okay. But everything really fits into 2 categories. So go grab a pen and paper and I'm going to help you. They go grab the pen and paper. You have them write your name and phone number. And you tell them, great, and I'll draw a line down the middle. On the left-hand side, write Medicare Advantage. On the right-hand side, write down Medicare Supplement. Underneath Advantage Plan, write down not a supplement. This does not pay the bills that Medicare doesn't pay. Now, these are the plans you see advertised on TV sometimes as zero premium, but they're really the same price as Medicare. See, the $140 a month that you're paying Medicare your Social Security check, that's going to go to that private company instead. Now, and the reason it's not really zero premium, it's the same price. And the reason it's the same price is because it doesn't actually pay your bills. It's just going to replace what Medicare charges with that private company's own set of bills. For example, if you go to the hospital, it doesn't pay the $1,400. Instead, you're going to pay about $300 a day each day you're there, days 1 through 5. So if you're there for 3 days, it's $900. Great, that's less than Medicare would have charged. If you're there 6 days, it's more than Medicare would charge. It's $1,800. Okay, as these Part A deductibles keep going up, I got to try to increase those days. Anyways, then I go into, so I'm painting the picture, explaining it, and then I give a couple 20% analogies, like if you need cataract surgery or a knee replacement, it doesn't pay the 20%. Instead, you're going to have a copay, or you're going to have to pay 10, 20, or 30% for that outpatient procedure. Now, what's nice about the Advantage Plan is it does have a max out of pocket, which is between $6,000 and $10,000 for most plans. And I also bring up that it's an HMO, that they're giving up the right to go to the hospital. So that's somewhat of that's my Medicare Advantage side. And then I go to the right side, which is now on the right side, Medicare Supplement Plan, write down best coverage you've ever had in your life.
Which is true. Anybody that refutes that, like if I could have a Medicare Supplement.
Yeah, exactly. So I tell them to write that down. Then I say, now here's how this works. See, and I notice, remember, when you're educating somebody the Medicare options and you're talking, what you're really competing with is a zero premium supplement. They think that exists, but it's on TV all freaking day, okay? So notice when I talk about Advantage, I didn't run from the fact that it's zero premium. I addressed it and I changed the narrative to it's not really zero premium, it's the same price as Medicare. And the reason it's the same price as Medicare is it doesn't actually pay your bills. So they get the concept of, and by the way, if you do this right, half the time they tell you, I don't want that, okay? Now when I move to supplement, it's the best coverage you've had in your life. I don't run from the fact that there's an additional premium, okay? Because these seniors aren't stupid, they're just ignorant. Remember, they know they're gonna get what they pay for, okay? So don't run from the fact that the supplement costs extra. You know why it costs extra? Because it's fucking better, okay? That's the mindset. Obviously, don't say that unless you're mirroring somebody in Arkansas who's already been cussing on the phone with you, or Mississippi, whatever.
There's a couple people I've talked to that probably would have responded better to me saying that.
I've done it. I mean, listen, I've definitely done it. But all right, so I tell them it's the best coverage you've ever had in your life. Now, and I tell them, now the way this works is you're going to pay an additional premium. So, and the reason you do that is it actually pays the bills that Medicare doesn't pay. And I do tiebacks. So for example, remember I told you if you go to the hospital, you have to pay the first $1,400? Well, with the supplement, guess what? It actually pays that for you every single time. So no matter if you go to the hospital once or you go 3 times, you're not going to pay anything. Now, here's where I incorporate talking with the client, Brock. So if I'm talking to you, I say, so Brock, how much would you pay if you go to the hospital with a supplement plan?
I would say
exactly. You pay 0, right? Because they do exactly what you did. They're not really comprehending what I'm saying. They're going to remember how they feel.
Right.
So I told them there's going to be a premium. So I really want to build value in that premium. So when I tell them it's going to pay the $1,400, I tell them if you go for once, go for now. So Mr. Smith, if you go to the hospital, how much would you pay with a supplement? Nothing, right? So if you go 2 times next year, how much will you pay if you have a supplement?
0.
How much would you pay if you're there 6 weeks, Ms. Smith?
0.
Right. So the supplement's going to pay all your hospital bills, okay? Guess what? It also pays the 20% that Medicare doesn't pay every single time. So if you go for a knee replacement, Medicare is going to pay 80%, and your supplement's going to pay the 20%. If God forbid you get cancer treatment, Medicare is going to pay 80%, you pay 0, okay? So Medicare is going to step in and pay 80%. I'm getting emails. And the supplement's going to pay the 20% for you every single time. So what you're really paying with for a supplement there is flexibility and predictability. Now, because you're turning 65, this is the only time in your life you're automatically approved for a supplement plan. So knowing that, Ms. Smith, let's say I'm going to ask you a question right now that you're going to get a gut feeling in your stomach if you're an Advantage plan person or a supplement person. Okay. Let's say you go with the supplement plan. It costs $100, $120 a month. Okay. And God forbid you have a great year health-wise. You stay healthy and you don't go to the doctor that much. And I call you back in a year to review your plan and you have a supplement plan. Are you going to look at that $100 a month as a waste of money? Like, oh, darn, I should have gambled with that Advantage plan. Or are you going to look at that $100 a month as a cost of living because you know you're 65 or older and it's not a matter of if, but when you're going to want full coverage? What do you think clients say 85% of the time?
I'd say most of them say you're going to look at it as a cost of living or cost of health care, regardless.
For us, I mean, that's our pitch. That's what works. They say cost of living. So now I congratulate them and I tell them, great, cross off Medicare Advantage.
Yeah.
And now you know you're a Medicare supplement person.
If they say, I'm going to be mad that I didn't break my leg and end up in the hospital and have to use my insurance and wonder why in the hell I'm paying for this, then they're an Advantage person.
Well, I mean, you could bring up their car insurance. You pay car insurance every month. Are you mad when you don't get in a car accident?
Yeah. It's amazing.
Insurance. Are you mad that a tornado didn't tear down your house? No, it's a cost of living is the point. Now, that is where if they will say to you, so here's where you find out if they can afford it or not, okay? You will have people say, wow, Bob, I definitely would consider cost of living it, but, if I pay that $100 a month, I'm eating dog food for dinner, So that's where you transition in that scenario where we have compassion as humans, and we tell them, listen, that's okay. Remember, I didn't bash the Advantage. I just gave them my narrative on it, okay? So then I tell them, great, you're a Medicare Advantage plan person, right? So cross off supplement, okay? But for us, we do this, we did 40 sales probably today. That's our educational pitch. And for us, 85% of the time, they say cost of living. And then we go into, great, now we compliment them and tell them they did the hardest part, which is picking what type of coverage. Because here's talking about objections and rebuttal, Brock, and you talk to people face to face. So I think you would definitely can attest to this. The biggest service, here's what you have to realize, and I think you would agree with this. These people really do not want to deal with this. This is like going to the gym. Nobody wants to go, but everybody's happy when they leave. And if there's a couple meatheads listening that say they love to go to the gym, okay, you win. Okay, but for the most part, none of us like to go, but we all love when we leave. Okay, and it's the same thing with helping people that's learning new to Medicare. Is nobody wants to tackle this. So if you can keep it simple and make them feel like they understand it and make an educated choice, the biggest thing you could do for somebody is help them understand there's not 100 options. It's either an Advantage or sup. And by doing that at the beginning of the call, I feel like you earn credibility and you can go right into your T-chart and your pitch. So,
yeah.
But if you do it that way, there's a lot of objections and a lot of objections that other agents get that my agents and I don't get if we do this the right way, because we're answering a lot of those objections throughout the pitch.
I agree. You're answering, like you were saying earlier, you're answering a lot of rebuttals along the way, so that by the time you actually get to the point where most people are getting their rebuttals, you've already addressed them. So they're sitting there trying to object to you, but you've already covered so many of their little objections they can come up with.
And I'm not a salesman. I'm a consultant.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't tell them so again, for those of you that don't sell by phone, you're hearing this stuff like, well, duh, but I could play calls if it's not a HIPAA violation for some of our agents and other agents at other call centers that have hired me to come in. And you'd be surprised at how bad some of these agents do this, where I'm trying to think of what would a bad well, you have two options, Medicare Advantage and Medicare Supplement. You don't want an Advantage plan. They suck, right? Well, what does that do? Well, one, that's flagging you as a salesman, not a consultant. Two, the clients want to feel like they're making an educated choice. Okay, they don't really want to spend the time to make an educated choice. That's why they're on the phone, but they at least want to feel like they did, if that makes sense. So, that's what some bad agents will do is they'll come in and say, well, Medicare Advantage bad, Medicare Supplement good. I think we joked about that yesterday or something.
Yeah.
But, all right, so I think I wrote down some of objections that my agents, common objections. Okay, I'm going to try to give you guys some, I hope this has been helpful so far, but here's some, hopefully some nuggets. All right, you said you want to talk about Advantage plans. So I'm going to give you guys a tip if you are going to sell Advantage plans, even in person. I think you guys would agree to this. So once let's say I'm doing my T-chart there and they decide they're an Advantage plan person, I'm going to help you guys. What I then do is I get a commitment from them. Are they benefit focused or network focused? Because we've all done this before where we're looking at 5 or 6 plans and the person has 5 doctors and 2 doctors take this plan and 3 doctors take that plan and 1 doctor takes this plan. So I don't have time for that. Annual enrollment. Okay. So what I do is I ask them, once we rule in that they're an Advantage plan person, okay, great. I'm going to help you, but I need to know, are you benefit focused? Meaning, do you want the plan that's the 0 premium, got all the bells and whistles, and you're okay with changing doctors? Or are you network focused? Meaning you have a doctor or 2 that no matter how good the plan is, you're not switching. And what that will do is that will help you save time, because if they say they're benefit focused, then what we do is we get their meds, put them in Medicare.gov. We have another quoting tool that we use that sorts the Advantage plans by premium and stuff. So, we'll present what appears to be the strongest benefit package. And then they can't say to me, well, I don't want that because my doctor doesn't take it. No, we already accomplished that you wanted the benefit rich plan.
That's actually a really good way to do it, because you can weed out. There are a lot of people that'll be like, I don't care what doctor I go to. I'll go to a different doctor if I can get better benefits. The same thing with like Part D. Sometimes you say, what pharmacy do you go to? And instead say, do you want the best and lowest copay, or do you want to, are you not going to leave your pharmacy? Because some people are like, hey, I'll go to any pharmacy I can. Which one's cheapest?
Exactly. So yeah, we do the same thing. So if they say they go to like some small little pharmacy, we'll say, hey, if it saves you money to go to CVS, would you want to? And they usually say, well, it depends how much. Okay, cool. So we look at both.
Right.
And then if they say network focus, we have another tool that we can type in their doctors, and it shows us which plans the doctors take. So even if it's not the richest plan, I know I can navigate, I can control the call that way, because I don't have time. I don't have time to go over 5 different Advantage plans with somebody and then try to figure out which doctors they're willing to give up and this and that before they'll choose.
Yeah.
So here's some objections that people sent us about in the group. So one of them is on a Medigap to Medigap, I need to think about it. Okay. So, we all hear that sometimes. Now, hopefully if you do those 5 things, you have a tie back to the fact that, well, what is there really to think about, Mrs. Smith? We already talked about how you have a great plan. I shared with you, and now that Medicare makes this easier for you because all the plans are the same, and you're going from one great carrier to another great carrier, you almost make them feel like really stupid if they don't sign up. You know what I mean? It's like, well, I don't understand. Like, the plans are the same. You're saving money.
Right.
Why would you not do this, right? So you definitely do that as a trial close. But let's just say, no matter what, they're like, no, I definitely want to think about it. Do not do what a lot of agents do, which is, okay, well, I'll send you the information and I'll give you a call tomorrow, okay? Yeah. Here's a better. So when someone says I have to think about it, here's what I say. On a Medigap to Medigap, I'll say, sorry, I have to like it's almost like scene, right? Like I have to put myself in that scenario. I'll say, okay, no, I totally understand, 100%. Now, I do this all day, every day, and there's 2 ways we can do this, okay? The first way is, I can go ahead and send you this information via email. You can look at it. You can think about it. I can call you in a couple of days. Then we're almost finished. We'll go ahead and take another 5 minutes to finish the application. Then we got to wait 3 or 4 days, or during annual enrollment, maybe a week, to find out if you've been approved or not for the savings. Or the better way, which is what I recommend, is just how you have to think about it, so does the insurance company. All we know is that this quote and this savings exists. We don't know you're eligible for it. So the better way to do this is, let's go ahead and, we're 5 minutes away. Let's go ahead and finish your application now. Let's get the ball rolling with the underwriter. Let them think about it while you're thinking about it. And then my office will call you in about a week or so when we know if you've been approved or not. If you weren't approved, good, you didn't waste your time because it's not even an option for you. If you are approved for the savings, then my office will give you the option. You can we'll cancel the one you're saving money on and you can continue to overpay for the same plan, or we'll help you cancel the one you're overpaying for and you'll start saving money, which, by the way, that's what you're going to do. So the concept there is you have to think about it. So does the insurance company. So however you can make that your own. Have you ever done that?
Yeah. And I follow up that part where I say, we do the same thing or say, yeah, I understand you want to think about it. I understand you want to talk to your wife or whatever. But, right now we're just trying to see if you can qualify. So why don't we go ahead and submit it to the insurance company? By the time you figure it out, we know. And so once I get them to agree to that or get closer to that, I say, and if they do decline you, then we can come back to the drawing board and see if there's another company. So by the time you've talked to your spouse and they've said it's good, let's do it, we know, well, that company's not an option, but there might be another company with a different underwriting criteria that would accept you at a lower rate. So I'm kind of like following it up with
same thing.
There is a potential that this one won't decline you, but that doesn't mean we can't go forward with another company.
Right, but you're still presenting that takeaway, and any good rebuttal to an objection is logical.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a logical, everyone's like, Bob, what do you say to this? Bob, what do you say to that? Bob, what do you say to this? I have a twin brother who's an attorney, so I've argued for a living since I was 5, okay? So, it's just coming up with logical responses. Speaking of that, I'm going to give you guys another objection that you guys see. So the whole think about it thing, the point there, and Brock, you and I did not talk about that, but you do the same thing, which is great, which is while you think about it, so does the insurance company. So whether you say it like me, you say it like Brock, you sit there and practice it a couple times for yourself, that's the concept there is, so do I. I have to think about it too, right? It's kind of like, you're not breaking up with me, I'm breaking up with you, right? Like, okay, you got to think about it, so does the insurance company. Now, speaking of that, another objection is, but I love Blue Cross Blue Shield. I've been with them since, in that. So again, that's for people that rushed the quote and didn't do the establishing plans are the same and get that commitment from them beforehand. Another one, and tell me if this ever happens to you, you have a married couple, which we all get super excited about, right? Because that's like a free lead, so it helps the whole CPA. Although your CPA is amazing, you got referrals, but the point is a double, we get excited, right? 1 phone call, 2 sales. But it also brings an obstacle, which is you're talking to a married couple, you can save them money, the husband will qualify, but the wife has health issues and won't. Have you ever come across someone say, even if they apply and the husband's been approved and the wife hasn't, you ever come across someone that says,
both of them are and they have Aetna. One of them can get approved with Mutual of Omaha and the other one can't. And then they say, well, I don't know, we've always had the same company, so I think we're just going to stick with that. So what do you?
Which is really, if they won't take my wife, I'm not going either. But that's really what they're saying. So here's a rebuttal we use, and I'd like your feedback on it. Let me know if you think, if you like it. So I do the whole emotional versus logical. So the concept is emotional decision versus logical decision. And something that Brock and I both have done, because we're salespeople, is notice every objection that we have, we always say, I understand. You never argue with the objection, right? So again, just how similar what we did last time is, they have that, they say, well, if they won't take me, I won't go either. Or you know what, we'll just say it because we're both with the same company, which we hear all the time. If you do phone sales, you do hear this. So here's a way that you'll help get that sale, which is, listen, I totally understand that. However, that's really an emotional decision, because the logical thing to do is your household is overpaying by $1,600. But we can save your household. We were trying to save you $1,600. Good news though, we can still save your household $800. Now I get what you're saying. You don't want to go, but that's an emotional response. That really isn't logical. The logical thing would be is for you, since you're healthy enough, to go ahead and save your household that $800. And because one, that's going to pay 4 months of your wife's overpaid premium. So I'm painting the picture of what they'll do with that $800. But the main thing there is then I'll say, and Justin, you've been around longer than me. When do you make your best decisions, emotionally or logically? Logically. And the logical thing to you is, let's save your household the $800. So, and that's a tough one, man. Again, these rebuttals don't work 100% of the time. Nothing does.
Yeah.
But by you being willing to put up a fight, you're going to get that exact sale more than if you just say, okay.
You could use the tie back as well, because you can go back and say, do you remember how we said that Medicare makes this easy for you and that all the plans are the same. So right now you're emotionally attached to the idea of company A, TNT Insurance Company, because that's what you've had. But we know this is the exact same coverage with this other plan. So the fact that you have two separate companies really does nothing to you. It's the exact same thing. You're just saving money. So that's what we normally, try to tell them is like, so right now you're telling me, even though we made the decision initially that you would change to company B because it's the same coverage for less money, for some reason emotionally you still have a stipulation in your head that you have to both change or neither way. So I'm kind of like explaining it out to where hopefully when they're listening they think about it. But you're right. I mean, those are rebuttals, and any rebuttal is not going to work 100% of the time because some people are just stubborn, and that's the way it is. But I would say over half the time that works, honestly.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing to do with just as something to touch base on, which if you're dealing with a married couple early on, in the call, like, because you're quoting them in step 4 for both, go ahead and change your verbiage of your pitch of household savings. Yeah. And set the expectation, hey, we're saving your household money.
Yeah.
And then that way, when you come in and you find out they're not eligible, one of them, you can say, okay, so some good news. We're not, we're still going to save you guys $800, and then kind of do that, and just still assume the close.
Yeah. So somebody had a comment over here, and I wanted to tie into it before I forgot.
Yeah.
And I think it's an easy answer, but he was saying back when we were talking about we have to let the underwriter think about it. He said, then how do you get their bank info? So, I mean.
Oh, I got this one. I got this.
Okay, you go.
Can I go? Sorry.
No.
All right, love it. So, sorry, I didn't write this one down, but I like it. So, bank information, it's an obstacle. So, first of all, for those of you that are doing phone sales, most e-applications, they might ask for the bank information like in section 2 or section 3 or section 4 out of like 8 sections. You do not have to go in order on the e-app to get the information. So bank info is almost always one of the last things that I get. Now, to get that information, what I say is, as I'm filling out the app, I'll say, okay, now, just how you're paying Blue Cross Blue Shield as a bank draft, Mutual of Omaha is going to do exactly the same thing. So I'm going to need the same account that you're running. You grab a check for me. So I need a routing and account number off that same account. So what I'm doing is making it familiarized that they are already doing it, because most people are already paying bank draft. What they're really saying is, I don't really trust you enough to give you my bank information. But if you make it like it's just the normal thing, like, hey, you're already doing it, that information, we're going to do it, Mutual Omaha does it the same exact way. Most people are inherently non-confrontational. So like if you say it that way and you say it with confidence, like this is just what we're doing, you should hear of, well, how do I know you are who you are and stuff like that, less by referencing that that's how they're already doing it. But let's say, well, why do I have to do bank draft? I would tell them, listen, there's 2 reasons why we do bank draft. The first reason, and I have clients this has happened to, that insist on doing mail payments. And the problem is normally there's one person in the household that handles the bills, and they'll relate to that. And I had a wife who handled the bills for her and her husband. Well, she had a stroke, and she was in the hospital for 65 days, or going back and forth, skilled nursing facility. She was unable to be home for 65 days. Unfortunately, her husband didn't know what bills to pay and not pay. So her Medicare supplement policy lapsed just when she needed it most. So I recommend you do bank draft for your protection. The second reason is it saves the insurance company money and it's safer. Instead of them having you mailing a check and it going to the post office, and then to their office, and they have someone open it up and type it into the computer, I'm putting it directly into their system. And I'm a licensed agent. So it's going, and our calls are recorded. So it's going from you to their system, and I never look at it again. And it saves them money, which helps keep your premiums low, which saves you money because there's less admin costs. So it's just the way people do it. It's just the way it's done nowadays.
I'll give you mine real quick too, and I'll do 2 things. One portion of it, I have people the same way. They want to pay by check, and I use a very similar concept, and I just put it on them. I say, like you're talking about, trying to tell them they're right. I totally get why you'd want to do that. I've had problems in the past, like with a cable company that kept drafting me after I thought I canceled their draft. And that's totally annoying. One thing I can tell you is that we've helped thousands of people with these companies, and we don't see those issues with these companies. So that's really good. Another thing I would tell you is that many of our clients, as they age and get older, sometimes lose lucidity and they can't process those payments. And I'll say that to them. They can't remember to send off that check. They're in the hospital for a little while. Their policy lapses because they didn't send in the check. All of a sudden, they can't get that supplement back. And then, and I just paint that picture just like you were talking about.
You guys can tell them we're all going to get old and die one day, or you could just point out the fact that, sometimes, somebody else might, if you get sick and go to the hospital, your daughter's handling your affairs, your son or daughter may not know which bills to pay. So yeah,
we actually use the blame it on the direct mail system too. We say that electronic transfer is a lot more stable and secure than direct mail. Actually, most bank fraud happens from people stealing checks out of mailboxes. And it's all true, by the way. Like it is safer. So it is hopefully, when you come across that, here's who asked that question, by the way. It just says J.M. Ross.
Okay, so J.M., hopefully if you do a good enough job on your intro, on your fact find, on your presentation, hopefully you're doing a good enough job of building credibility and trust that you don't come across that as much. If you're hearing that a lot, then you might want to take a step back and look at the beginning of the call and say, okay, am I building credibility with them? Am I building trust with them? Also, maybe try to build more. If that's happening to you a lot, try to build more rapport. Become a person. There was a joke at the call center that I worked. I had my first son, I had Lucas. And this was a true story. So one Sunday, my wife and I had to build a crib. And this won't surprise anyone that knows me. I'm not the handiest of guys. I'd rather pay someone $200 to come put the crib together. But my wife was saying, it's our baby, let's put the crib together, right? And so I said, okay. So I'm trying to put this crib together, and I sucked at it. It took me forever, and it was just not a fun night. Her and I are fighting because I'm thinking, why the hell am I doing this? I got to work tomorrow, and this is stupid. This is not what I want to do on a Sunday night. So it was a bad night. But so I went the next day, and someone asked me, well, I always, how you doing? I'm good. Actually, I had to build a crib last night, and I don't know why they make those things so dang hard to build. Yeah. And that made me a person to them. And I figured out, okay, wait a second. And then people were much more receptive because where I worked, we didn't have the leads we would dial sometimes were like cold call and stuff like that. So I had a very short amount of time to build credibility. And what I realized is old people want to buy from young dads. Yeah. Or relatable people. Yeah. So don't be scared. If you're getting the trust factors, the point there is in the beginning of the call, if someone's not going to hear you talk about building a crib or whatever you can do to make you, like, how was the game? Ugh, the Rays lost today, man. I'm really sad. I really, baseball is, my son loves baseball. Like whatever you can do. Oh yeah. To make yourself a person and not just a voice over the phone.
So a couple things there I got to hit on. One, like even people in face-to-face sales, because we don't go out to houses anymore, but my in-office agents, I require them to have family photos on their desk. Because I want when people sit down to see it and know like this is a real person. Because even face-to-face, initially we're just insurance salesmen. When you put something down that makes you real, that's great. Another thing I wanted to hit on because J.M. Ross followed up as he was talking about in the situation where you say you want to let the underwriter think about it, or you still go into I think he was thinking like how they're going to object to why do they need the bank info to the underwriter think about it. So in my opinion, you almost never see that because once you get them to decide, yeah, I will let the underwriter think about it, and you're continuing through with the application, you're going to get to that point where you get to bank draft. And all I really do is say, okay, now what bank do you use? And they'll tell me what bank, and then I just ease into it. Okay, and if I don't know the routing number, because sometimes we have a list of routing numbers, so I already know.
We just Google it.
Yeah. So I just Google the routing number, so I don't even ask for that. And I say, okay, do you know your account number? And I swear, like, well over 85% of the people, at least, I don't have this statistic breakdown, but in my head, it's like 85, 90% of them just say, no, but I can find it, or they know it offhand and they just give it to me. So it's
again,
really,
they don't. Yeah, I tell them to grab a check, and I tell them to read the first 9 numbers to me, and then the next set. And half the time, they don't even realize that's their account number. It's just like back in the day when the Medicare number was their social.
yeah.
I would never ask for their social. I would just ask, I'll go grab your Medicare card. What's your Part A effective date? What's your Part B effective date? What's your Medicare claim number? They would read that to me, and 9 out of 10 times after they say the A or whatever afterwards, they'd go, "Oh shoot, that's my social security number."
Yeah, I mean, I think that we may be
assuming the close.
overestimating how often you get the bank draft objection, because once you've built the rapport, you can just ask for it, and most people are going to give it to you. I don't really get that objection. When I do, it's normally those people that hate bank draft, and that's a diminishing amount of people. It's smaller and smaller over time.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I wrote down any more. I listen to calls all the time, and I was trying to write down some objections, but our agents do a really good job in the beginning. So a lot of times we don't hear, when I go to other call centers and stuff, I get a bunch of fire. Do you want to, I know we've been on for an hour and 15 minutes. I feel bad. I'm sure it's almost AEP. These guys probably want to go make some money, but do you want to, do you guys want to close here? Or do you guys want to ask some questions, kind of get some feedback?
Let's see how they do. Let's see, any objections anyone wants to throw in chat. So if you throw an objection in chat, we'll try to answer it. We'll probably try to stay on here for just a few more minutes if we can get some questions. I think we're going good. Just until I get a question here, Bob, if you can feel free to plug here, but when we get the MA leads and they're already MA in the middle of the year, we've been selling the HIP like you guys have been doing. So I think a lot of people are getting that happening. That's another way they can profit from those leads you can't close mid-year. When you get an MA lead in AEP over the phone, a lot of people are going to ask me this, I'm sure. You guys are CMS certified in closing MA plans over the phone right now from a plan-to-plan change in AEP, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
But
we still partnered the HIP program.
Yeah.
So what we do is we do our pitch, which if someone has an advantage, we don't assume they know what it is. You mentioned earlier, I always feel there's 2 types of clients on MA, the happy and the not happy. And the difference is happy hasn't had to use it really, except for maybe a primary care or specialist visit, maybe lab work, and they like the gym membership and the DVH, that's in it. The unhappy actually has something medically happen to them, and they're usually strongly motivated that they want to upgrade their plan. So you mentioned that earlier, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
When we talk to people, even during AEP, and we do our educational pitch, and they say they want to upgrade to a supplement, but then we get to the health questions and they're not healthy enough. Okay. We then try to, if they're, the HIP policy, which is basically it's a hospital and a cancer policy together, which fills in the 2 biggest holes to MA. So that person that we talk to has an inherent feeling they want to upgrade. Well, it is a little easier to qualify for the HIP program than it is a Medicare supplement most of the time. So, we'll at least try to sell that person either a different MA and that program, or at least that program.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So that's, because we're getting a lot of these, a lot of leads like that. So looks like Jagger's saying, are you fellas mostly trying to self-generate your leads or using a ping post system to supply most of your teleleads? You take that one, Bob.
Jagger asked that?
Jagger asked that. Maybe he's trying to help us with the conversation.
Oh, okay. Maybe. So, well, he knows. We generate all of our own leads.
Never mind. Not Jagger did. It says Jacob did. Oh, okay. That makes more sense now. I'm sitting here thinking, why did Jagger?
Yeah, I was going to say Jagger helped me build my ping post system, I think. But so what was the question? Do we generate our own leads, or are we buying leads okay, so I generate all of our leads, which I've done for the last 2.5 years, which for me has been the survival of my business. I can't imagine having to buy leads right now. I think that would be really tough. When I got in the business 8 years ago, you could get a decent lead for $12, internet lead, exclusive, and it was pretty good. Now, you're going to pay at least 25 or more for a lead. So we generate our own leads. And then we have a ping post system that delivers it to our dialing system. So all of my agents are what are called LOAs. So there's some agents that are upline, like they're like you have downlines, and they get, and then some agency owners get an override of their production. My agents all assign their commission to us, and then we pay them a base and a bonus plan. So we provide all the leads for them. So yeah, we generate and provide. We generate them, and then our ping post system filters them out to the dialer.
Yeah.
I think
somebody asked a little bit of technical questions, which we'll probably go over in something else future. But like somebody said, is ping post system like Zapier? Yeah, is that Zapier or Zapier is like there are ways to use that as a very, very small version of a ping post system, but there are a lot that can get very advanced. But we won't go too much into that.
Yeah, maybe if people are interested, maybe we can do one about like agency, how setting up an agency with systems and processes, and like how we we have 35 people, 22 agents, 3 managers, and a support staff. So maybe we can go over.
There's probably an insane amount of interest in scaling options, and just like you said earlier, there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's 10 different ways to profitably scale. There's what you have is we have a similar version, but then we're doing some other like brokerage side concept too. And there's no right way or wrong way. There's just whatever way you decide to do. But we could definitely, I'm sure it looks like Darren Chang said, please, yes, do something on scalability. I think scaling is something we wanted to do this one on taking an agent who's making money or struggling to make money and show them how to use their own time to become more and more profitable. And then the next step, once you could just master that and have your 9 to 5 or 8 to 6 or however many hours you want to work completely profitable in your own time, just like me and Bob have done, at some point you have to have other people writing for you, whether LOAs or brokers or whatever.
Well, I'll give people one, and to your point, if anybody has any objections, because I think we're going to be finished here pretty soon. So for right now, let's focus on any objections if you guys have any that we could try to have a rebuttal for. But yeah, I'll just give a sneak peek to that if we end up talking about that here in the next couple of weeks or whenever. But most agents make the mistake of having their first hire being another agent. The reality is most people are not as good as you selling. They're not as good as me. When I say you, the one that probably is good enough that they want to scale. And I see a lot of people that go off on their own, and a big mistake they make is their first hire is another salesperson. So just a sneak peek advice, my advice would be your first hire should be an admin person so that you can do what you do best, which is sell. So that would be kind of maybe what we start with if we do a webinar on scalability. And I think you would agree. I mean, you have that, so I think you would agree with that.
I'm gonna do one more question. And it's Robert Braun. He sent it to me privately. He said, for the independent face-to-face agent out there trying to do more phone sales and worried about compliance, what things do I need to do to stay compliant? Phone system that can record, ? Electronic SOA. I'm hearing I might have to certify for phone sales, but then I'm hearing a phone meeting is different than a phone sale. Really confused. So is there anything you can say? I mean, I think from an independent broker standpoint, you don't have to go get CMS certified and stuff. That's a down the road concept. I think that probably if you're doing your business through a hierarchy that has a program like Connecture or something like that, there's definitely ways to do it independently without having to worry about compliance. And before I let Bob give his answer, I'm just going to say, I think a lot of people have compliance in their head from 3 and 4 years ago that it's actually much more watered down now. And I hate when I say this because some people always object, but when you're doing things ethically and compliantly and helping the client, you're not really having issues. People that are getting in trouble or breaking or being unethical.
Well, you're not telling people, so let's look at the whole point of a scope of appointment, which was your dad's generation. When the Advantage plans first came out, they were going door to door telling people it's a free supplement.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the whole point. I mean, and then people got screwed because they went on them and then they realized it's not a supplement. So compliance is very important. I have a compliance officer. So like, you know, and I did that on purpose because typically people that are great at sales need somebody to help them with compliance. Again, same. So if you're an independent agent, you can go ahead right now and buy a list of turning 65 people if you wanted to, and start calling people that are turning 65 to talk about Medicare supplement insurance all day. I mean, there's not really compliance, you know, as long as you're doing the scrub and you do not call list and stuff like that. So to answer your question, yeah, our CRM scrubs that list. Now we don't cold call, but it has that ability. But with Medigap, there's not a ton of regulation on it as far as selling it over the phone or anything. Medicare Advantage, you know, for us now we're a little bit bigger, but so we did go through, you know, getting approved as a call center. So we have scripts and we do record all of our phone calls, and we have to send calls to every carrier. We have quarterly and annual audits, which is why I hired a compliance officer, because I don't want to deal with those. So yeah, it's extensive to sell Medicare Advantage. So if I was over the phone as far as compliance goes, if you want to do it as a call center, you know, if you're an independent, you know, I'll let Brock kind of answer that with you guys direct, because I just do it a little bit differently than you. We had to go through the hoops.
Yeah. I think if you're doing it independently, first of all, it's you know, smaller scale. You're not pumping out.
You might do 20 apps in a month. Like we're doing 40 a day, you know what I mean? So we're on the route, you know.
Yeah, if you're just a lone independent agent, I doubt you have much to do with. I mean, honestly, I'd ask your local bro. I've heard different. I mean, some carrier reps will sit there and tell you can do it, and some will tell you can't. I think if you have software like Connecture or some of the ones like that, you know, the big premiers and the, you know, Heartland or different FMOs are offering senior market sales, all these different ones. They're offering these softwares that allow you to do it. They have to be able to enroll on their side. That's the big thing. And, you know, once you got your volume up, you know, and you're getting looked at, you would definitely want to go through getting call center certified and all that.
Yeah, you're probably making money too. So now you have the money to go through the hoops.
Exactly. Right? All the big things that come up that seem like obstacles to growth typically come at the point when you should be able to afford that. So
it's like having a baby, right? Like when my wife and I were first having a baby, I hung out with my 4-year-old niece, and I swear I was like, I am not ready for a 4-year-old.
Right.
You know? And then I look at her now and she's turning 15. I'm like, I do not want a 15-year-old. My kids are 7 and 9. The point is you kind of grow up with your kids. Your kids grow up with you. And so, you know, you're not born with a 4-year-old. You're born with a baby, and then it becomes a 4-year-old. So it's the same thing with your business. You know, start off like Brock's saying and sell it. Let's start selling it and making money, and then add in those extra hurdles as you're making money. And as your business grows, you have more to lose, and you definitely got to, I mean, always do things compliantly. But you know, I would agree.
Yeah. All right. I think
we still got 25 people. There's nobody that has like any other objection questions.
And we just did a great job, man. You did such a good job.
I hope so, man. I know we've been talking about doing this for a long time. It's what I do all day, every day with my agents, and I pay them, and they don't even freaking listen.
I'm sure stuff will come in, and honestly, there'll be more to come. We're already talking about things like the scaling and other things that people are interested in. I think this is a really good one because a lot of people want to get into the tech stuff, but until you can sell over the phone, none of that shit matters. I mean, if you walked in and Medicare Bob gave you his entire phone system in operation and it was free, but you didn't know how to sell over the phone, it wouldn't matter. You couldn't make any money. You know what I mean? You couldn't make any money with it because you didn't know how to close the people and get the prospects. So once you can sell over the phone, then it's how to scale your lead system, your ping post system, your CRMs, and how to scale and hire more people that can help you do it all more efficiently and grow all of that. That's a huge process, but just like he learned first and I learned first, it was how to sell the product.
Yep. So, yeah. Awesome. Well,
guys, I think we're going to wrap it up. Again, I think this is a really good meeting, and we're going to get out of here. Anybody that has any follow-up questions can message me. If I don't know the answer, I'll probably kick it over to Bob and see if I can get a good answer for you. I think you said something earlier, and a couple of people had messaged me about maybe if you had that T-graph or something. So when I send out the recording, I could send over the PDF. So
I'll email it to you. I've got it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I think a lot of people would get a lot out of that. So
yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, I'm going to get off of here. Anybody else needs anything from me, let me know. And if you want your refund, you're just not going to get it. I'm just not going to give it to you, except for Jagger. You know, he paid triple. We made him pay triple. So.
Wait a second. You charge people for this?
Yeah. Oh, shit. No. All right, guys.
I really hope you guys got some value out of it. I really like what Brock's doing, and I'm a big fan of oversharing and helping other people. Anybody that knows me in the industry knows that. So I'm sure I'll be back with you guys. Brock and I are even talking about maybe doing a group that only focuses on sales for Medicare. I know he does a great job. Like there's contracting questions and stuff like that he answers all the time. I would never want any part of that. But when it comes to sales, you know, I think him and I are talking about maybe doing a group that is just sales and videos and like, you know, maybe something you start your day with. You know, we give you guys a tip, kind of like a pre-shift meeting that I do with my staff and he probably does with his. You know, we've talked about maybe doing something like that. So we'll keep you guys posted and let you guys know if we do that.
Definitely. All right, buddy. I'll see you guys later.
I'll be doing drug plans.
All right.
See you guys.